Welcome to the Teacher's Guide to Best Tiered Instruction. This video focuses on 3rd grade benchmark B.E.S.T 2.2, which is to explore multiplication of two whole numbers with products from 0 to 144, along with related division facts. It's important to note that prior to this grade level, students began counting by tens. Then in grade 1, they started counting by 2s and 5s. The purpose of this benchmark is to allow students to start understanding what multiplication and division actually means, along with the operational symbol. This is the first time that students are hearing multiplication and division. In 2nd grade, students started building equal groups and used the strategy of repeated addition to solve for multiplication-like problems. The importance of this benchmark is to focus on the word explore, which means there should be a lot of manipulatives and hands-on during instruction. We begin using sentence stems and allowing students to revisit what they learned in 2nd grade, which was making equal groups. Having students build or act out the multiplication, and then reinforcing the repeated addition strategy that they learned the previous year. We've now changed the language. Instead of groups, we want them to organize their groups into rows and columns. This sets them up for understanding what an array means when we do multiplication in 3rd grade. Then we've replaced the rows with the multiplication sign, understanding that we're still doing equal groups as well as equal rows along with our repeated addition, but we're also reinforcing the commutative property of switching the factors, switches our array, but not necessarily the answer or the product. Using counters is a great way to also discuss distributive property, also known as the break-apart strategy. Having students flip the counters so that each one represents a different color, they can find a smaller product and then add the two products together. This reinforces partial products that we use later on throughout this benchmark and in later grades. Also, the idea of overcompensating and then subtracting a group is a great strategy, especially as students are learning factors with nines. For division, we reinforce the part-whole of division is what I have, and I need to make the equal groups. So in this case, I've made 3 groups. Their job is to figure out how much goes in each group. We then have them reinforce. This enforces that related division and multiplication fact with a missing factor. Then we also discuss how many groups can be made with the given dividend. Now, applying this to the number line is the next step for students, understanding that as they jump on the number line, that represents that repeated addition or skip counting that we want in future multiplication. As you can see, there are many strategies when students are exploring the idea of multiplication and division and understanding the relationship between the two. Remember that students did the same relationship when they learned about addition and subtraction. So the key here is to make sure that we are using a constant visual and manipulative reinforcement so that students understand when multiplication is necessary and when division is necessary. The other benchmarks that tie into this are going to involve some missing factors or a missing divisor or a missing quotient. So now the unknown can be in multiple positions. Through the use of acting out with manipulatives, such as the part-whole example, allow students to understand in a word problem when the division sentence is different or the multiplication and array matches is different. Within this benchmark, the focus is not to have students become fluent or memorize facts with multiplication, but rather be able to set up the visual representation of what multiplication and division mean and how the numbers need to relate into the statements or the equations. The strategies utilized within this benchmark will set them up to further apply that when the numbers begin to get larger in multiplication and division.